8,
Side booster ignition.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning. It's Thursday, January 13th, and we're here at SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. You're looking at a live view of the Falcon 9 as it awaits its 10:25 a.m. Eastern Time launch from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. My name is Kate Tice, and I'm a Reliability Engineering Manager here at SpaceX. Welcome to the webcast for SpaceX's Transporter-3 mission, our third dedicated small-sat rideshare program launch, and our second launch of 2022. With today's flight, Falcon 9 will deliver 105 spacecraft, including microsats, CubeSats, PocketQubes, and orbital transfer vehicles to sun-synchronous orbit. There will be a total of 82 deployments, which will begin around the T+1 hour mark and last for approximately 30 minutes. Now, due to the lack of ground station coverage at times and the position of our camera, we only expect a handful of our deployments to be visible today. However, we do expect to have telemetry and hear audio confirmation over the nets when in range of ground stations. To see the full list of today's deployments, head on over to spacex.com. With liftoff in just over 8 minutes from now, let's take a look to get acquainted with the rocket on your screen. Our two-stage launch vehicle stands about 70 meters tall when fully fueled. It'll hold just over 1 million pounds of propellant that the vehicle will burn through in less than 3 minutes after liftoff. The first stage, which is the bottom two-thirds of the vehicle, you can see it there on your screen, is the booster which has 9 Merlin engines that do the bulk of the work to get Falcon 9 off the ground and up to the thinner parts of the Earth's atmosphere. At about 2.5 minutes into flight, it'll separate and make its way back to Earth and target a land landing back at Landing Zone 1, which you see there on your screen. Today's mission marks the 10th flight for this particular booster, which debuted in May 2020 on our Demo 2 mission to the International Space Station. You will notice the soot left over from its previous 9 flights. On top of the first stage is the black carbon fiber inner stage. It connects the 2 stages and houses the pneumatic pushers that allow the first and second stage to separate during flight. Then on top of the inner stage is the Falcon 9 second stage, and that will take the payloads to their eventual destination in orbit. After the first stage separates, the second stage will then carry the 105 spacecraft to orbit. Right now, those satellites are enclosed inside the large nose cone that you see there. It's located on top of the rocket, and this is called the fairing. Its job is to protect the payload until the vehicle is outside the Earth's atmosphere, at which point the fairing separates to expose the satellites to space. Today, we're flying a brand new fairing, and we will be attempting to recover the halves from the water once they return to Earth. The chief engineer held a technical poll at T-1 hour, and the launch director held a propellant load and launch go-no-go poll at T-38 minutes. Since T-35 minutes, Falcon 9 has been loading propellants. Falcon 9 is a bipropellant vehicle, which basically means it uses 2 types of propellants. For fuel, it's a refined form of kerosene called RP1, and the oxidizer is a super-chilled liquid oxygen, or LOX. Currently, RP1 is fully loaded on the second stage, and nearly fully loaded on, actually I'm seeing here, it is fully loaded on the first stage as well, and liquid oxygen loading is currently underway on both the first and second stages. We're also loading helium into storage vessels on the first and second stages. During flight, we will take that cold helium and run it through the heat exchangers on the Merlin engines. The resulting hot helium is used to fill the empty volume in the fuel and LOX tanks that's created by the engine pumps as they pull propellant out of the stage. At T-7 minutes, we began engine chill. This is where we opened the pre-valves between the first stage prop tanks and the 9 Merlin engines. This allows a little bit of cold liquid oxygen to flow through the turbo pumps, which brings them down to a temperature close to that of the super chilled propellant that will soon be flowing through the engines at liftoff. We're just about 4.5 minutes away from liftoff. The vehicle is healthy, and we're currently working no issues. The range is ready to support, and as for weather, we can see that it's a beautiful blue sky day in Florida. There is less than 10% chance of violating the launch commit criteria, so basically the weather rules. And we can see on the screen there that the clamps there around the second stage, just below the fairing, have begun to open. So at this point in time, Falcon 9 is moving into the final stages of the countdown. There on your screen, you can see our strong back. That's part of the transporter erector, also called the TE. The TE is what we use to roll out the rocket from the launch pad and raise it to its vertical launch position. The TE is also what routes power, fluids, and communication to both the rocket and the satellite. The transporter erector has the launch mount, and that's what the first stage is attached to, and the strong back that is hinged to the launch mount. And if you listen closely, you can hear the hissing and popping of pressure venting from the rocket and the plumbing in the transporter erector. I mentioned before, LOX load is underway for both the first and second stages. RP1 the launch countdown. As I mentioned before, our satellites they're inside the fairing. They continue to be healthy. Team is tracking no issues on the rocket. And as a reminder, if we don't launch today, we do have a backup opportunity tomorrow at the same time. And we have just 2 minutes to go before launch. At this point in time, LOX load on the second stage has just completed. And we can see the white gaseous clouds around the vehicle as, like I said, LOX load is complete on second stage as well as first stage. So those lines will be venting from the TE.
Ground gas closeouts.
The next milestone we're coming up to is startup. You'll hear the call out for that at T-1 minute. And that's the indication that the flight computer has taken over.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
All right, there's that call out. Falcon 9 is in startup. At this point in time, stage 1 and stage 2 are beginning to pressurize for launch.
LD, go for launch.
And there was our final go for launch today from our launch director. At this point in time, as we approach T-minus 30 seconds, all systems are go for launch.
T-minus 30 seconds.
Let's listen in to the final countdown.
T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition and liftoff.
Vehicle's pitching downrange.
1 gear pressures are nominal.
Power and telemetry nominal.
All right, as you can see, Falcon 9 has cleared the tower, lifted off from Cape Canaveral
Falcon
Space
9
Force
is
Station.
supersonic.
We just heard the call out that the vehicle is supersonic. We're currently going to throttle down the engines in preparation for Max Q coming
Max
up.
Q.
Oh, there we heard it. So that was the moment of greatest aerodynamic pressure that the vehicle will experience in flight today. Everything looking nominal with stage 1 trajectory. Now we have 5 events coming up in quick succession. MECO, or main engine cutoff, stage separation, stage 1 flip, second engine start 1, and the boost back burn. And you can follow along with those events there on the timeline at the bottom of your screen. Beautiful view of the Florida coastline. Main engine cutoff coming up in just under 30 seconds. As I mentioned before, we will be attempting to land the booster back on land at landing zone 1. This is known as return to launch site, as opposed to a drone ship landing.
MECO.
Stage separation confirmed.
Back startup.
Stage 1 boost back startup.
So you can see there on the right-hand side of your screen, second stage MVAC engine has ignited. The first stage on the left-hand side is performing the boost back, which, as you saw just moments ago, the first stage flipped itself over and is now making its way back to the coast of Florida. Everything looking nominal with second stage trajectory there on the right-hand side of your screen.
Stage 1 boost back shutdown.
All right, so there we heard the call out that the boost back burn has concluded. That was the first of 3 burns that the first stage will perform today. And we can see the grid fins beginning to deploy there on the left-hand side of your screen. The next event we have coming up is fairing deployment. All right, there you can see the 2 fairing halves have separated, fallen away from the vehicle, exposing the 105 spacecraft to the vacuum of space. As a reminder, we will be attempting to recover these brand new fairing halves once they make their way back to Earth. We're currently in the first of 2 MVAC burns. This first one will last until T plus 8 minutes and 26 seconds, about another 4 minutes from now. Beautiful views from the first stage there on the left-hand side of your screen and the second stage on the right. The next milestone will be the first stage booster re-entry burn. Falcon 9 executes an entry burn to slow itself down before hitting the dense part of the atmosphere. Without this burn, relying on the atmosphere alone to slow down the Falcon 9 would put unnecessary strain on the rocket. And there we can see the east coast of Florida.
Stage 2 on a nominal trajectory.
Space Coast there in the background of on the left-hand side. Once again, we are launching the Transporter 3 mission today. This is SpaceX's 3rd dedicated small-sat rideshare program mission, and it's our 2nd mission of 2022. SpaceX is targeting at least 3 dedicated rideshare flights to sun-synchronous orbit per year, and we also offer opportunities for a ride to orbit on our Starlink missions, which launch every couple of weeks. Small sats can ride to space on SpaceX's Falcon 9, Falcon Heavy, as well as Starship in the not-too-distant future. On the left-hand side of your screen, we can see those grid fins have deployed. Falcon 9 has 4 hypersonic grid fins positioned at the base of the inner stage, and they orient the rocket during reentry by moving the center of pressure. We can also see some white puffs of gas coming off from Falcon 9. Those are cold nitrogen gas, which help with attitude control. After first stage landing, the second stage will cut off its MVAC engine and relight it approximately 45 minutes later for deployment of all 105 spacecraft. As for first stage, its next event is the entry burn.
Stage 2 FTS has safed.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
And there on your screen, we can see that that entry burn has begun. Once again, this burn is designed to slow the booster down as it returns through the dense part of the atmosphere.
Stage 2 on nominal trajectory.
As we just heard there,
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
everything continuing to look good with second stage. As I mentioned earlier, we'll be attempting to recover this booster for the 10th time today, and we're targeting a land landing at landing zone 1. The first stage has just one more burn left, the
Stage
landing
1
burn.
FTS is safe.
It begins just before touchdown and provides the booster a soft descent before landing. About the same time that Falcon lands, we are expecting SECO, or second engine cutoff, 1 of our second stage. Just a few seconds away from landing,
Stage
and
1 is transonic.
vehicles traveling around 900 miles per hour really puts the deceleration into perspective. In the span of less than a minute, we'll have reduced from twice the speed of a
Stage
jet
1 landing burn.
all the way down to 0 as the rocket lands. There's a view on the right-hand side
Stage 2 in terminal guidance.
of the landing back at landing zone 1.
Stage 1 landing light support. Stage 1 landing is confirmed.
As you heard from the call out there and from the cheers behind me, we have successfully landed this Falcon 9 for the 10th time. It's also the 102nd recovery of an orbital class rocket.
Nominal parking orbit.
All right, so we just heard there, second stage had a good orbit. So we cut off or shut down the MVAC engine on the second stage. And as we just heard, we had good orbit. So we're now going to coast for the next 45 minutes or so while we wait for second engine start 2, or SES-II. We'll see you back here at around T plus 55 minutes.
Expected LOS keep.
in 25th century AD. We sat there and looked at the rockets from Mars, and you just boggled the mind. And the technology caught up, didn't it?
MVAC chill is underway.
Acquisition of signal, Diego Garcia.
Welcome back to the Transporter 3 mission, our third dedicated rideshare mission. Falcon 9 lifted off at 10:25 a.m. Eastern from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, had a successful stage separation, landed first stage back at landing zone 1, and successfully completed our first second stage burn. We're now waiting to relight the MVAC engine on the second stage for the second and final burn. It will be a quick burn lasting only 2 seconds, and we're anticipating that to begin in just a couple seconds.
MVAC ignition and shutdown.
All right, as we saw there on your screen, like I mentioned, only a 2-second burn, super quick.
Nominal orbit insertion.
Okay, and there we heard the call out that we have confirmation of good orbit. Next up, starting around T+1 hour, we will start the deployments of our 105 spacecraft. As I mentioned earlier, this is our third dedicated rideshare mission. Our goal with these rideshare flights is to provide small satellite operators with competitive pricing, increased flight opportunities, and flexibility. These dedicated rideshare flights to sun-synchronous orbit will occur about 3 times a year, providing regular access to orbit. Additionally, we offer opportunities for a ride to orbit on our Starlink missions, which launch every couple weeks or so. Coming up in approximately 2 minutes, we're expecting the start of the deployment sequence. There will be 82 deployments for 105 spacecraft, which will occur over a 30-minute period of time. These deployments include microsats, CubeSats, PocketQubes, and orbital transfer vehicles, which are sometimes called space tugs. And they will deploy the spacecraft after separating from Falcon 9. Many of these deployments will be grouped within seconds of each other. As I mentioned at the start of the webcast, due to the lack of ground station coverage at times and the position of our camera, we expect only a handful of our deployments to be visible today. However, we do expect to have telemetry and hear audio confirmation over the nets when in range of the ground stations. So you should hear a call out from our mission operators as each deployment happens. And keep in mind, most of these deployments include multiple satellites. So while there are 82 individual deployments, at the end...
Acquisition of signal, Bangalore.
At the end, we will have put 105 satellites into orbit. It's also worth mentioning that because many of the spacecraft are being deployed in groups, and because there is a large communications blackout during the deploy sequence, we won't be able to confirm every deployment in real time. You should hear most of the deployments called out by the operator on console, but for any reason that we don't hear in real time, we will try to provide updates by the close of the webcast. So we're about to start our first batch of deployments. Over the next 8 minutes, we are expecting to hear the callouts for the 26 deployments and have a handful of live views. Several of the customers on board this transporter mission have multi-launch agreements with SpaceX. So you might some of you who have tuned in for previous rideshare missions. To see the full list of deployments, head over to SpaceX.com. We're expecting our first deployment in about 10 seconds. As I mentioned, this is a batch. So let's listen in for this first batch of deployments.
Unicorn 2E, separation confirmed. Alpha 2, separations confirmed. Alpha 3, separations confirmed. ETVA 1, separation confirmed. EPSO 1, separation confirmed. Gossamer Piccolomini, separation confirmed. DWASAT-1, separation confirmed. NUX-1, separation confirmed. Row 5, separation confirmed. Oscipod-2, separations confirmed. Oscipod-4, separations confirmed. Oscipod-1, separations confirmed. Oscipod-3, separations confirmed. SuperDove, separation confirmed. SuperDove, separation confirmed. SuperDove, separation confirmed. Lemur-2, separation confirmed. Kepler-17, separation confirmed. Lemur-2, separation confirmed. SuperDove, separation confirmed. Aurora Tech, separation confirmed. SuperDove, separation confirmed. SuperDove, separation confirmed. SuperDove, separation confirmed.
may have noticed, we heard 24 of the expect 26 deployments. Again, we were not expecting to get all deployments confirmed in real time, so we'll work to confirm with teams and provide an update a bit later in the webcast. In the meantime, the next 37 deployments are going to happen during a blackout period, which basically means that we lose camera views and telemetry. While we wait to regain access to ground station coverage in a few minutes, sit back and follow along with our animation that shows you where we are in the mission. We'll see you back here at T+1 hour and 15 minutes. Welcome back to the webcast for Transporter 3, SpaceX's third dedicated small-sat rideshare program mission. We had a successful liftoff at 10:25 a.m. Eastern from Base Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. We have 105 spacecraft on board today's mission, spanning across 82 deployments. So far, we had 24 confirmed separation events and are currently waiting to hear the callouts for another 37, which occurred during a blackout period with no access to ground station coverage. To see a full list of the deployments, head on over to SpaceX.com. Now, let's listen in to hear the confirmation of those deployments.
"37 satellite operations confirmed.
Acquisition of signal, Svalbard.
SuperDove separation confirmed. 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 SuperDove separation confirmed.
Acquisition of signal, dual.
Super Dove separation confirmed.
Super Dove separation confirmed. Super Dove separation confirmed. First ISI separation confirmed. Second ISI satellite separation confirmed. Umbra 2 separation confirmed. Ukrainian satellite Sich separation confirmed. Spaceflight customer separation confirmed. Ion SCV-4 Elysian Eleonora separation confirmed. Spaceflight customer, separation confirmed.
For those just tuning in, this is SpaceX's Transporter-3 mission, our third dedicated small-sat rideshare program mission. Now, when we came back from the blackout, we heard confirmation of those 37 payloads that were deployed during the loss of ground station coverage. And you just heard the callouts for another 19. Now, as you may have noticed, we were unable to confirm 2 of the 82 deployments because the spacecraft on this mission are small sats, and because there was a large communications blackout during the deploy sequence. It can sometimes be difficult for us to confirm deployments in real time. I'm hearing from our teams that we likely won't have those confirmations in the next several minutes, so we're going to end our live broadcast and we'll provide an update on those final confirmations via social as soon as we receive them. Thanks again for watching today's launch, and we'll see you next time.